Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a massive structural realignment happening right now in the 2026 freelance economy. We've got some fascinating new data to look at. Demand for specialized artificial intelligence skills, it's surged by a whopping 109% year over year. But here's the catch the research reveals. Simply using AI tools just isn't cutting it anymore. So we're going to explore exactly how you can make that crucial transition from being a basic tool user to a highly compensated AI system architect.
Okay, let's dive right into this roadmap so you can avoid commoditization. We'll be hitting the AI freelance divide, the rise of the system architect, high-value automation and media, engineering, data, and compliance, how to monetize your AI architecture, and finally, the new professional advantage.
All right, Section 1, the AI Freelance Divide.
The global labor market has officially split in two. On one side, you've got the old tool user mindset, which is rapidly dying out. This is where freelancers are fighting over pennies, doing manual one-off tasks, writing generic prompts, and still relying on hourly billing. It's a race to the bottom. But on the other side, the highly lucrative system architect playbook. Transitioning here means completely rewiring your approach. We're talking value-based pricing, building out multi-step autonomous workflows, mastering system scaffolding, and operating in what the industry calls the refinement layer.
Moving on to Section 2, Rise of the System Architect. So the data shows that clients on major platforms like Upwork are actually spending 23% more on high-end transactions over $1,000. This massive shift away from cheap gigs highlights a phenomenon the research calls the ROI paradox. Basically, companies are struggling to translate the immense potential of large language models into actual measurable business outcomes, and that struggle is creating a massive premium for what they're calling AI plumbers. The takeaway here? Companies don't need help just chatting with an AI. They absolutely need architects who can connect fragmented datasets and build automated workflows that generate real hard revenue.
When I first saw this figure in the research, there was literally no way I could ignore it. $400,000. That represents the kind of annual labor savings a skilled system architect can generate for just one enterprise client by automating their workflows. I mean, think about it. When you're saving a business nearly $500,000 a year, it's pretty obvious why these architects can command such insane premiums.
Which brings us to Section 3, high-value automation and media. Now, you might be wondering how to actually make this transition yourself. Well, the data outlines 4 specific phases of automation complexity that you can learn to build. You start small with Phase 1, an AI audit and roadmap, to figure out exactly where the company's bottlenecks are. Then Phase 2 tackles a single process, like setting up an automated lead sorter. Phase 3 is where it gets really powerful. This is the multi-step agent. It's where architects connect LLMs directly to business processes, like linking a CRM, an ERP, and an AI model together through agentic pipelines. And finally, Phase 4 is the enterprise agent, handling highly complex, company-wide workflows. You can see how this roadmap naturally scales your skills from a simple consultation up to massive systemic overhauls.
Let's look at the creative sector for a second. AI video generation has exploded by 329%. But the real secret to transitioning your skills here is operating in the refinement layer. Look, anyone can generate a raw AI clip with basic tools, right? But those raw outputs usually lack a cohesive brand voice or narrative flow. System architects take those raw outputs and they weave in AI voiceovers, custom motion graphics, and a real narrative strategy to deliver truly professional assets. And because the cost to generate that raw video is basically negligible, agencies that master this refinement layer are capturing profit margins upwards of 90%.
All right, Section 4, Engineering, Data, and Compliance. Here is a fascinating, completely under-the-radar avenue for you, algorithmic compliance. Local laws and jurisdictions like New York City and Colorado now legally require businesses to conduct independent bias audits on their automated decision-making tools. The standard compliance framework breaks down into 3 clear phases. First, a shadow AI inventory to find any unapproved black box tools hiding within the company. Second, remediation and documentation to build out a solid governance charter. And third, validation and disclosure to generate the public audit summary that the law requires. Because these are legal mandates requiring a third party, learning to become an independent freelance auditor allows you to command up to $15,000 for a single complex enterprise audit. For those of you leaning more into the engineering side, transitioning means moving way past basic prompting and into a rigorous discipline called system scaffolding.
This is the actual process of building instructions and Python scripts that guide autonomous agents through multi-step tasks without breaking format or logic. It's a totally different ballgame, including essential practices like strict model red teaming to test for vulnerabilities. Mastering this heavily structured discipline is absolutely essential for moving from a standard tool user to a true architect. Let's jump to Section 5, monetizing your AI architecture. Now, what's really interesting about pivoting to the business side of this transition is how you handle pricing. The source material poses a really critical question. How do you actually price an autonomous agent? Think about it. If you build a digital system that works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you simply cannot use that outdated notion of trading your time for an hourly wage. It just doesn't make sense anymore.
The pricing models emerging here are just incredible. System architects are fully leveraging the agent licensing model. A multi-step agent integration alone commands $35,000 to $75,000 just for the setup. Freelancers are charging these massive upfront fees, and then, here's the kicker, they lock in an ongoing retainer of $4,000 to $10,000 a month just for AI operations, monitoring, and making sure those models don't drift over time.
The logic behind those massive fees comes directly from the value-based pricing formula. It's simple. Your project price equals the annual value created multiplied by a value capture rate of 15 to 20%. So think back to that $400,000 in labor savings we talked about earlier. If you build a system that saves a client that much money every single year, charging them a $60,000 to $100,000 project fee is an absolute no-brainer for them. It's a win-win. Finally, Section 6, the new professional advantage.
When we look at exactly where you should focus your transition efforts, the data is loud and clear. Generic categories, like web development, have reply rates sitting at a dismal 5.8%. The research literally calls this overfished. But specialized AI niches, like information security and compliance, those are highly underfished, boasting reply rates well over 11%. The clients out there are desperate for help, but the architects who can actually deliver are incredibly scarce. But listen, a huge part of the transition into architecture is learning how to mitigate risks and protect your clients. You absolutely have to engineer clean data pipelines before you ever try to automate anything, just to avoid data silos. You'll need to implement techniques like retrieval augmented generation, or RAG, to prevent the AI from hallucinating. You secure those monthly retainers to monitor for version drift, you build custom middleware to bridge gaps in old legacy tech, and most importantly, you always keep a human in the loop to ensure high-quality, reliable deliverables.
The source material brilliantly summarizes the new standard for transitioning into this role. It says the primary currency of trust in 2026 is a portable career portfolio of working systems, not just a certificate. A piece of paper doesn't cut it anymore. Professional advantage now means building a verifiable track record. You have to prove that you've actually built working agentic systems and that you use AI to scale and enhance your own deep human expertise.
So the ultimate question this research leaves us with is this. Are you simply competing with AI for hourly tasks? Or are you directing it to build systems that scale your own human expertise? It is time to step out of that tool user mindset and capture the massive value waiting for you as an AI system architect. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope it provided a clear roadmap for your transition. Catch you next time.